Are the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns overrated? It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Yesterday we did Texas State, got some good feedback on that. Today, let's do the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns. Are they overrated? Is it more about them or more about their opponents? Desormeaux, as we've talked with him before, knows it's time to win. And who is a starting quarterback? One of my favorite questions. And so overall, let's talk about being overrated before we get into their opponents, because even the fans, and you won't find too many more Homer fans than Louisiana Ragin Cajuns. They always think they are about as disrespected can be. And yet, I saw a lot of fans that were like 8.5. Win total was 8.5. Texas State was 8.5. JMU was 8.5. And the Cajuns were 8.5. App State was 7.5. And the Cajuns have good odds. Although App State, according to FanDuel, has the best odds, which is a little bit odd. But App State is plus 360. Texas State and Louisiana, when they came out, were both plus 550. Find that very fascinating. And at the time, Cajuns fans were even commenting, wow, I'm not sure they're that good. And the main reason for me is because of the turnover in the division. Now, the one place that you don't have turnover outside of the quarterback, and that's generally what I go by. I don't mind saying I go by the coach and I go by the quarterback. And if you have those two guys together, you're in pretty good shape. So who's coming back for the Cajuns? You got the coach and you got the two quarterbacks, either Chandler Fields or Ben Waldrons. The two-time defending champions, Troy Trojans, do not have either one. They don't have their 18-year senior Gunnar Watson coming back, and they don't have John Summerall coming back. They don't have the running back coming back, and we don't think, their wide receiver coming back. And we hope Chris Lewis is getting better. So we don't know what we're getting with Troy. Texas State, you don't have the quarterback coming back, but you may have improved on your quarterback with Jordan McLeod, the Sunbelt player, the offensive player. Well, not the offensive player, the Sunbelt player of the year is now with G.J. Kinney, who is in his second year. South Alabama, you actually have a new coach, although Major Applewhite was there, and he's the offensive coordinator, and Gio Lopez was there. So it's not the same two guys, but that's not new either. But there's a lot of turnover at South Alabama. I think they just signed like 9 guys out of the transfer portal because they needed to add some pieces to the puzzle. Arkansas State is a little bit of a surprise. I thought they would be a little bit higher on those odd lists. They still feel like they're a plus 1,200 to win the Sun Belt. I thought their win total, I'm never going to find their win total fast enough, am I? No. I'm never going to find the win total fast enough. But I thought their win total was 7.5. And so they still have the idea. It feels like the bookmakers, if you will, are still like, we see you, Arkansas State, but you still have to prove it to us, right? Butch Jones heading into his 4th year, has Jalen Raynor. All impressed with Jalen Raynor last year. Can he do it? Can he be more consistent? Did not finish up very strong last year in the bowl game, I seem to remember. Did not play very well in that. And we can see if he takes it to the next level. And then, I'm not going to find it in time. And then who else do we got? And then you have Southern Miss. I think they're going to be better than predicted. They're 4.5. I'm not sure that's their win total. I don't know if they're going to contend in the West, but you got new quarterbacking then. Will Hall is in the same boat as Mike Desormeaux is, and it's time to win now. And, of course, Coach Bryant Vincent is turning the whole thing over at ULM. They may end up being the biggest surprise in the conference. Although, anything more than 2 wins is going to look pretty good, sad to say. So maybe it is not necessarily how good the Cajuns are. I would think that they've lost their 2 best players, Gant, linebacker, and Zeon Chris. They transferred out. Gant was first. Zeon Chris was next. But they return a lot of guys. They really do. They are not short on talent. They're returning, 4 out of the 5 offensive linemen. And actually, one of the guys going to take over on the offensive line was supposed to be a starter last year, but he got hurt and couldn't crack the line. You got some experience returning in the backfield. Young and talented, little fumble issues, but they have a 3-headed monster in the backfield. The question is, can the wide receivers step up and separate themselves both figuratively and literally? All right. They have a new defensive coordinator. And, the big thing was communication. They all did say, we'll say this, the guys up front said, we're going to get our sack numbers. We're going to get some big time numbers this year because they're going to be let loose. So in terms of, is it about the teams they're playing, or is it about the Cajuns themselves? Let's see what that schedule is and what they can potentially start out as. We usually do that at the end, but let's do it to begin with. All right, so they got Grambling and Kennesaw State, and then they get John Summerall coming here. Maybe that Kennesaw State game is a little bit, it shouldn't be a loss, but a little bit tricky, right? ODU probably shouldn't have been a loss last year, but a little bit tricky. And certainly no one's going to take Tulane for granted. And then you go to Wake, and then you go to Southern Miss, and then the big ball game Saturday, October 12th is App State. So can you be, obviously 5-0 would be outstanding for App State game, but can you be 4-1? Beat Grambling, beat Kennesaw State, beat Tulane. It is here in Lafayette. If you take one on the chin to Wake, although I'm not sure how great Wake is supposed to be this year. And Southern Miss won't be easy either. That's a game in Hattiesburg. I think the Cajuns have lost their last 2 ball games to Southern Miss, right? They lost to them last year here in Lafayette, and they lost to them in Hattiesburg a couple of years ago. Yeah, so that's not an easy, I'm saying be 4-1, they could easily be 2-3. And if you lose to Kennesaw State, you could be in the wrong side very quickly. But you could beat Grambling, beat Kennesaw State, lose to Tulane, which wouldn't be a surprise, lose to Wake, which wouldn't be a surprise, and lose to Southern Miss, which would be disappointing. And then obviously it's spun out of control, not even halfway during the season. But if they can somehow start 4-1 when they're bringing in App State, now you got some potential for the season. All right, let's take a timeout. Easy question. Who's the Ragin Cajuns starting quarterback? We'll do that after I tell you about eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Who will be the Ragin Cajuns starting quarterback? Will it be Ben Wooldridge? He was out with a broken foot, pretty close to the thing that I had, and I think his was worse. I did the second to last bone on the pinky toe, And I think he did the last bone on the pinky toe. That's the bad one. Zion Williamson did that, and there are some potential difficulties with that. Although I don't think Ben had the difficulties. It just takes a long time to heal. And so is he going to do it? Chandler Fields took all of the snaps in spring camp. And he did come back with Zion Chris leaving. He admitted that, I don't know if he admitted, but I was told if Zion came back, Chandler was taken off, which is fine. He's graduated, engaged, but he wants to play one more year for the Cajuns, which is a big help. Is there anybody else who might be ready to play quarterback? I mean, you got Dwayne Winfield, but that's not who I'm thinking about. That's not it. Don't they have, now I got to do this now, Illinois transfer? I thought. He's not listed on the roster. Transfer to Cajuns. Oh, well. Illinois transfer. Illinois QB. I thought he was from Illinois. No. Oh, there it is. Samari Collier. There you go. Okay. He's it. Yes. Is he from? I don't know where he was from. I don't know. I thought that was it. Okay. He's it. Does he get a shot? I don't know why he's not listed on the roster. But anyways, Collier is the guy. He went to Hutchinson. I think he went to Illinois and then Hutchinson Junior College, and that's where he came from the Cajuns. And he looked really good in the spring game. He's got the arm. He's got the physical ability. Could this be one of those things where, I don't know if someone gets hurt, like, Ben did last year, and then maybe Chandler, but Zion Chris came in and took over for Wooldridge, and then he got hurt, and Fields took over for him. I would be shocked if it's anyone but Chandler Fields, because you have some, we'll see about Grambling, but Kennesaw State is not going to be easy because it's on the road. Then you got Tulane at home. Then you're going on the road to Wake and Southern Miss. So you're going to want some experience. It's not quite Arkansas State playing Oklahoma, right? And why didn't you start Jalen Rayner when the season began? Well, we were playing Oklahoma, and we didn't want to kill the kid before he had a chance to play. So that's a big deal what the Cajuns are doing. And the Cajuns want to get back, and they, as much as I want to throw it all over the place, they want to run the football. We've talked about that before. They have some ridiculous stat when they run like 40 times for 150 yards or something along those lines. Maybe it's like 35 times for 180 yards. They have this huge winning percentage. And they're like, it doesn't matter if we throw over 200 yards, 300 yards, 400 yards. There is no rhyme or reason to that statistic. But when we run it a certain amount of times and we get those yards, we win. Bottom line, basically. And they're going to try and do that. They're going to try and they got a three-headed monster in the backfield. Bill Davis, Elijah Davis, Draylon Washington, and Zylan Perry. All right. That's the three guys that are, going to see the time, and they'll be split up, can keep the hot hand, interchange them, who's the third down back, so on and so forth. But that is, that's the big question. Who's the Cajuns quarterback? It will be interesting if we do get the chance to see Desormeaux. We've talked to him again, on the show. But the next time we see him will be at Sunbelt Media Days. And, of course, that's going to be the question. And then the question I always like asking, when do you want to have that decision? And then they always come back and say, well, the players make that decision. I'm like, well, okay. when do you like the players to make that decision, right? Can they play this? Can you see the difference in week 1, right? And so probably a couple of scrimmages in, because you really want the players to know, and usually the players do know whether the coach names them or not, right? The players are watching what's happening while they're playing. You really want it to be 2 weeks. You don't want to name the starter the week of the game. You want 2 weeks. So now everyone's uncomfortable and everyone knows their role, right? I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was Billy Napier or maybe even Kane Womack, right? It's and maybe even Major Applewhite. I can't remember which coach it said. When we name our starter, then everybody else knows their role. They're much more comfortable, right? There's no ebbs and flows to camp to where you played really well. Now you may be the starter. Now you didn't have a good day. You know you're the backup, right? They may be fighting to be the backup, but I can't remember which coach said that. Some coach did say that to me in a press conference, and not specifically to me, but it was about when players know their roles, it's easier for them to relax and just go play, right? Like it's my playing time is not determined whether I have a good or bad day today. I need to have good day, good day, good day, good day, good day, things like that. But I don't have to worry about being the starter. And so I think the sooner the better. I presume they're going to see if Ben Wooldridge is healthy. I presume that he will be. And we'll see. And we'll see if Collier gets a shot. He's probably the most athletic and has the best arm of the crew. All right, let's take a timeout. When we come back, as he's mentioned, and with all due respect to Jeff Pearlman, Mike Desormeaux knows it's winning time. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt. We were up almost to 1268. We're almost 30 away from 1,300. Please get everyone to subscribe on YouTube, like it and share it when you see it on Facebook and such. It's a big help. Actually, the tweet got a lot of help today. I don't know if it was because of the picture of, or yesterday, I should say, of GJ Kinney. Although I was looking for the rat poison tweet, and he did that a couple of times. Although not to my stuff. It's a big thanks. You can always get it on the audio portion. I know people are watching. Some people are commenting for the first time. It is me replying. So if you do have a comment in the YouTube section, I will be the one responding. So really appreciate it. Again, the goal is 1,500 by Labor Day weekend. That's my week 1, not counting week 0. And I know the Sun Belt kicks off on that Thursday before, but I'm talking about on August 31st. If we can get 1,500, that would be tremendous. Thank you so much. All right, back to the show. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Mike Desormeaux, head coach of the Cajuns, heading into this has got to be is it only year 3? No. Yeah. Now I'm confused. You think you got it down? I was going to say it's year 4, but I think it's only year 3. Let's see here. Yeah. Oh, so he was head coach on he was named head coach 2021. So 22, 23, 24. It is year 3. Okay. Got it straight. He's gone to 2 bowl games, lost them both. I've mentioned this about, reasons and excuses. He's had a lot of guys banged up. Offensive line is being banged up. He's started 3 quarterbacks last year, played all 3 the season before. So it's important for his teams to stay healthy, relatively speaking. And he said this, right? He's basically saying, I'm not getting a contract extension without winning or competing for a Sun Belt Conference title. So let's see what happened last year. Because, ODU is probably better than we think. And they really didn't do a good job of communicating defensively, right? Like ODU is snapping the ball and the Cajuns are looking back at each other, not knowing what to do. And the wide receivers are running right past them. Having said that, the Cajuns got it to be first and goal, and Wooldridge couldn't put it in. They did lose at home to Georgia State, and they did lose at home to Southern Miss. What if you change that? What if you say you lose to ODU? All right, you beat UAB, you beat Buffalo, you lost to Minnesota, played pretty well, but Minnesota's huge. You come from behind, you beat Texas State. You think you're in good shape, and you lose to Georgia State. Zion throws the interception in the end zone. You hammer South Alabama because they had all those turnovers. Then you lost Arkansas State, and that's when Chris got hurt. And then you lost in overtime to Southern Miss. Didn't play too poorly against Troy, lost 31-24, and then blew out ULM to go to a bowl game, lost 34-31 to Jacksonville State. I mean, you do have some winnable ball games. Let me see that Troy box score. Was that a late score for the Cajuns? No. Cajuns were tied 24-24. That's a pretty good ball game. That may have been their best game they played last year. So no, I don't think you can say they could have won that ball. They could have won that ball game. And I think they should have won the ball game. They should have beaten Georgia State. They probably should have beaten Southern Miss. Could have beaten ODU. So there are some games, a couple things change around. You can win them. Did they have some games like that they should have lost? I mean, Texas State, they could have lost. They almost gave away the Buffalo ball game. That's 2. And that's about it. The other ones they kind of won in blowouts. So they could have won. What are they, 6 and 7? They could have won. They really could have won 9 or 10 ball games last year. You beat Georgia State, you beat Southern Miss, and you win a bowl game. You're 9 and 4. That's not a bad season. And he knows that it's time for that to happen. He's got to get off to a good start. I bet you that because that, after, let's see what it is after App, because that's going to set the tone for the season. If they get off to a good start and lose to App, you're going to be behind the 8 ball. But then you get App State at home. Then you're at Coastal, at Texas State. Arkansas State comes here. South Alabama comes here. And then Troy comes here. So you do have 3, because now here's where it is, because you're setting yourself up. You do finish up at ULM. So you have this opportunity to get off to a great start with, well, actually only 2 of your first 3 games are at home. I could say, 3 or 4 on the road there. You got to beat Grambling. You beat Kennesaw State. Can you take down Tulane, lose to Wake, and somehow beat Southern Miss? And then you're setting yourself up for App. And so you have this little run here. I mean, this is a tough stretch. At Wake, at Southern Miss, home versus App, at Coastal, at Texas State. That's a tough run. That's a tough run. But somehow if you survive that, and you're still in contention, you get Arkansas State at home, you get South Alabama at home, and then you get Troy at home. You're almost at home for the entire month. You have an odd schedule there with a Tuesday ball game at Texas State, and then which is on the October 29th. And then you're not going on the road again until November 30th. So you're home for basically 4 weeks, although only 3 ball games. He knows it's time to win. It's going to determine who his quarterback is. Can they stay healthy? Can the defense get off to a good start? Right? We don't want to hear about, the key word in camp was always consistency and communication. Again, football is the only school, the only one that you don't have exhibition games on, right? I guess baseball doesn't either. Does baseball? I don't think baseball has it either. Basketball does. Basketball has scrimmages. But college football has no exhibition games. And so you got to be raring to go. And there's only 12 of them. So I don't know if they're overrated, because they very easily could finish second and have a great season. Because, what happens if they only lose one? What happens if they only lose one Sun Belt game or 2 and still finish second in the division? Because they lost to Texas State, which they don't ever lose to Texas State, but will, in this case, lean towards the Bobcats, and lose at Coastal, for example, those games. And so they only lose 2 ball games, but Texas State doesn't lose any. They beat Arkansas State. They finished second in the division. They go 8-4 or 9-3. That's a pretty good season. That's a good year for the Cajuns. All right. Can they be better than that? I don't know if I'm picking the over on the Cajuns. 8.5 is a lot. I may wait for that to go down. Well, 8 and 8.5 is the same thing. If it goes down to 8, odds may not be great. So I'm not sure if the Cajuns are overrated. I know it was odd to see the Cajuns fans say, I'm not sure we're going to be that good, but I think it's more about the other teams than the Cajuns. That's my thought. All right. We'll continue to do kind of the preview of the previews of these teams. Really appreciate you tuning in. Thank you so much. We'll be back again with another edition of Locked On Sunbelt on Thursday. I appreciate you watching. Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day.